Alright, engineer, construction, equipment, maintenance, concepts, and operations. Army mission introduction to properly perform and sustain combat land and apply with the readiness to go anytime with the will have the manpower, material, resource, effective the firepower, mobility, dependent on the ability to perform maintenance necessary to keep the equipment, the material, and the operation condition, maintain combat effectiveness needed to strengthen our entire maintenance system and emphasize with the user level of our equipment continue to become more complex as the requirement to improve the maintenance at all levels of the growing demand with the force ready with this mean that most approaches the maintenance responsibility with the add into enthusiasm. How does the supervisor manage maintenance? Why does he or she manage maintenance? What about all the other things that the supervisor must manage, such as supply, training, operation, and personnel? The subcore answer some of those questions. Lesson 1, fundamental of the maintenance of the supervision. Learning event number 1, the Army maintenance system of the unit's maintenance is one part of the overall system that provides the maintenance support of the Army's equipment. The system is made up of 3 levels, as shown in Table 1 below. Each of the levels makes up the different contribution overall system. Table 1 shows who, what, when, where, and why, and how, and what, why. The unit intermediate, direct support, general support, and depot maintenance system consists of combat ports, power with the place against the enemy, the influence outcome of the battle, with the return the equipment with the combat while the unit the battle is still being fought. Obviously, the equipment takes longer to repair but cannot be used to help with the current battle, but it can contribute to winning the future battle with the Table 2 illustrating the battle role of the various maintenance levels. Unit maintenance level, the unit intermediate, direct, and general support depot role on the battlefield. Change within the 3 level, the maintenance based on the need for the support with a high mobility, sophisticated fighting system related to lack of the mobility. The old general support unit with the corps area. The Table 3 show the comparison of the old and new styles of the array of the battlefield. Battlefield array, echelons, corps area, division area, old system depot, general support, direct superior, or general system depot, direct support, IG, first general support, first depot support, and unit. Unit maintenance level, the new system corresponds with the operator of the organizational categories of the old system maintenance characterized by the quick with the turnaround, the time of the placement, parts of the minor repair for the operator's maintenance personnel, make the balance, use the bulletin task, the bulletin and test equipment to support the battle of the damage assessment, repair of the BDAR. System mechanics provide for the in-depth of the technical system with the repair parts of the stockage based on the combat prescribed loading list, or PLL, which is considerably demand with the stock items, the desired stock, those items required with the stock maintenance part list, of the MPL. And direct exchange DX is used to support the quick turnaround repair time. The levels generally do not exceed 4 to 6 hours. Intermediate maintenance level, the 2 categories: intermediate support, direct support, and maintenance with intermediate general support. Maintenance in the following of the intermediate direct support is employed with the difference in location from the task performed with the same. These units are found with a brigade division with the corps of the echelons above the corps of the area. The selected non-visual intermediate direct support maintenance to provide with the backup maintenance support with the divisional maintenance of the unit. Type of the maintenance characterized with the replacement. Repair, replacement, high mobility, forward orientation, maintenance for the high volume, fast moving operational readiness float, or units readily with the organized the teams to support specific systems with the project and support with the forward to word on the battlefield. Suitcase type of the automatic testing equipment is authorized by the BDA repair parts of the stockage based on the combat authorized stock list. Divisional intermediate direct support maintenance is also struck by the provided the detailed support of the brigades and battalions, include the repair with the selected high use to come on with the direct support direct exchange. Repair times generally do not exceed 36 hours. In the intermediate general support, the maintenance they usually located behind the corps to provide with the support with the theater supply with the system repair with the class 7 and 9 items, work jobs, and promotion oriented to perform the modular unit with the commodity oriented with the platoons. Semi-fixed facility teams may be able to provide the area with the support capability or support of the general support system type of the ATE is used to support operation of the intermediate general support with maintenance. The unit does not have an authorized stock listing. However, they maintain a shop stock that is required for assigned mission. The units maintain 3 to reserve stocks and overall support of the theater requirements. Depot maintenance. Maintenance of the level of the production line oriented to the performance support of the supply system with the work is done with the special repair activity of the United States Army Material Command, or AMC, direct employees and or contract employees. The unit maintenance support with the oversee proposition material that is configured to do the units of the palm cuss, repair with the cycle float, repair cycle float, RCF with the war reserve reserve stocks, and repair parts of the supplies supported with the depot maintenance limited to the items supported assigned maintenance mission. As supervisor, you must remember the unit maintenance is the foundation of the Army maintenance system, and they support the needs of the user, keeping the equipment of the operation and the quality of the timeliness of the unit maintenance and operation directly effective with the combat readiness of the Army. Level 2, maintenance of the supervision with the responsibility. All supervisors have a certain responsibility the personnel of the maintenance supervision. Personnel are the most important resource of the supervisor. You must ensure that the resource does not wash a goal with the maintenance supervisor is established to have all the tables of organization, equipment or tow, allowed the field with the personal holding of the correct for the military, occupational specialty, and pay grade. Once the both most difficult job of the maintenance supervisor is to establish priorities in the face of the collecting requirements. The supervisor must work on the assigned personnel to ensure that they are used correctly with the unit, are accounted for, and our supervisor are motivated and have the skills developed. All personnel from the battalion commander with the vehicle driver to play on the important rule of the supervision resource with the manpower. All resources must be sufficient quantity when needed in the maintenance job is to be completed with the learning event with the maintenance responsibility. Each level of the command with the squad leader to the battalion commander will be discussed, and you will shown how each of the level of the interfaces will other the levels. Personal responsibility per platoon leader. The platoon leader is responsible for all the matters relating to discipline, training, and welfare control of the personal assignment of the platoon. The platoon leader is directly responsible for the advising of the unit commander to platoon requirements of the maintenance program, executing the maintenance program at a platoon level. Recommending the program change with the community commander to facilitate the mission requirements, coordinate the platoon maintenance requirements with the motor officer, ensure the platoon compliant with the unit maintenance standard operation procedure, manage the platoon maintenance for the training program, account for the availability, serviceability of the platoon equipment, report the vehicle equipment status for the motor officer if required, ensure the availability of all the personnel when required services to do the platoon equipment, account for this, everything with the platoon does or fail to do the maintenance area. Platoon sergeant. The platoon sergeant is the platoon leader in all the matters relating to the discipline and training of the welfare control personnel assigned with the platoon. The platoon sergeant maintenance responsibilities are using a platoon leader in the maintenance requirements, assisting the platoon leader in execution of the maintenance program, requiring recommended changes for the platoon leader's facility, mission accomplishment, ensure the availability of the needed expendable to the support of the platoon maintenance program, coordinate the platoon maintenance requirement for the unit motor sergeant, supervise the platoon maintenance program, ensure the platoon vehicle equipment status reports are prepared and submitted. Or your squad leader. The squad leader is linked between the platoon sergeant and the personnel element of the squad. He assists with the platoon sergeant manner with relating to the maintenance, discipline, training, welfare, control, personal assignment with his squad, and responsible for the accountability of the personnel all the time. The squad leader ensures the personnel will comply with the maintenance of standard operation procedures, and responsibility to ensure that the vehicles, equipment are scheduled with the maintenance if necessary and are always in operation condition. Motor sergeant. The unit of the motor sergeant, the non-commissioned officer in charge of the maintenance section, with the assist of the motor officer, all matters relating to discipline, training, of the welfare control of the people assigned with the maintenance section. The motor sergeant will supervise the assistant unit maintenance personnel, equipment, and operators, crews, proper performance unit with the maintenance of organizational vehicle, the material for the handling of the equipment, electrical power generation equipment, and similar units. The motor sergeant responsibilities include the following: the controlling of the daily dispatch unit with the vehicle's equipment, the maintaining the required records and reports pertaining to the equipment operation, maintenance, instructing the assessing of the list for the skilled person with the proper operating of the maintenance practice and the procedure, assisting motor personnel with the correct interpretation and application of instruction containing appropriate technical manuals, technical bulletin, lubrication order, modification work orders, or other publications, the direction of the maintenance of the vehicles and equipment, planning with the organization work schedule for the coordinated with equipment downtime, made with the using section, assigning duty with the unit maintenance personnel under his control, drafting, implementing the unit stop operations standard operation procedure. The motor officer position, additional duty is assigned with to an officer, normally executive officer of the unit. The motor officer is responsible for allowing developing the unit maintenance program, coordinating the maintenance operations, supporting unit, the drafting the maintenance standard operation procedure, forming all incoming officers of the non-commissioned officers on the units of the standard operation procedure, keeping the commander informed daily with the operational status of all the equipment, monitoring all the aspects maintained for the operation, ensure the maximum effectiveness utilization resource of the equipment, planning with the organization work schedule, the coordination of the equipment, downtime, the maintenance of the use of the section, assigning duty for the unit motor sergeant, first sergeant with the first sergeant with the senior NCO of the unit with the first sergeant should be the source of the most of the guidance required, should be over the platoon sergeant and the unit with the command source of the information and advise that all the pertinent matters pertaining to the soldier and the maintenance of the realm with the first sergeant was set for the example of all the other soldiers by attending scheduled meetings periods, ensuring all the first line supervisor, platoon sergeant, staff sergeant, NCOs attend and participate during the scheduled maintenance period, Knowing the unit personal gain, the velocity, the strength, the weakness, surviving the company, accordingly tracking the maintenance operation continually with the operator through the motor sergeant, correcting when necessary. Identifying the maintenance operational weakness, executing the corrective action for the NCO change, for the advising the commander is appropriate with the unit commander. The unit commander is responsible for all the matters relating to the mission, accomplishment, discipline, training, welfare, control of the personnel equipment assigned with the unit. He may supervise and ensure the timely completion of all the company activities responsible, including analyze the unit maintenance situation, direct unit motor officer to prepare the unit maintenance program and then the battalion program, provide with the command for the guide for the unit with the motor officer directing the implementation of the unit maintenance program, supervise the execution of the maintenance program, evaluating the maintenance program, suggesting change for the battalion maintenance program and battalion maintenance sergeant and the battalion maintenance sergeant if the NCO IC with the organic motor pool operation is directly responsible for the following: supervising shop operation, making the daily work assignments, supervising scheduled maintenance services, testing, troubleshooting, repairs, using test equipment, repairs with the parts and safety, other jobs, on-the-job programs, drafting maintenance for the shop with the operation standard operation procedure, controlling the daily dispatch for the battalion vehicles, providing assistance for the company motor sergeants when needed, battalion maintenance technician, combat service supports units only. The battalion maintenance technician with the technical expert with the battalion maintenance operation. His principal assistance with the battalion maintenance officer is the responsibility include organizing, supervising the records quality and control section, supervising all unit maintenance of the material, auxiliary equipment, control the flow of the repair parts, request for the assisting scheduled maintenance for the repairs of the company for the intermediate direct support unit, the motor monitoring preventive maintenance for the service direct quantity control inspection of the maintenance operation records and analyzing equipment deficiencies and failures. Recommending new maintenance procedure for the BMO, reviewing the equipment with the status of the report for the BMO, serving the battalion maintenance officer with the absence of in the absence of the battalion maintenance officer with the battalion maintenance officer, the battalion maintenance officer with the battalion commander for the maintenance operation, the battalion maintenance officer keep the commander and staff informed of the operational staff, the material auxiliary equipment of the battalion maintenance officer. Responsibilities include analyze the maintenance situation, playing with the evaluation of the maintenance of the program accordingly, the operator, the indirect support units and other units required for the supervising the prescribed load list and the supply with the recovery, the evacuation, equipment, the components and parts, supervise the maintenance service, the monitoring of the training with licensed vehicle drivers and equipment operators, monitoring and coordinating with the units of maintenance units, complying with the consolidated material for the condition staff over the reports of the commander, ensuring all the requirements of the report for the consolidated hardware and the forward and hard work headquarters is required. Traffic maintenance for the maintenance annex of the battalion standard operation procedure, briefing the income off of the maintenance standard operation procedure, battalion super supply off of the battalion supervisor, supply officers, S4 with the very with the important of the maintenance for the supply with the operation battalion, S4 with the responsible for the monitoring of the equipment shortages, monitoring vehicle age and mileage, coordinating with the battalion maintenance officer on turning in the procedure, monitoring change for the equipment, the deletion with the basic issue item for the tool set, the kits allocation of the funding of the tools, housekeeping items, ensuring the organic attached unit they provide with the rations, water, gasoline, lubrications, unit individual supplies, ammunition, advise the battalion commander on the state of the status of the unit supply, maintenance of the maintenance property book for the organic units when required, ensuring the unit supply with the operation conducting according with the regulations, including the repair parts and supply list. Command sergeant may with the battalion command sergeant may with the senior NCO of the unit with the command sergeant may should be in the source for the most of the guidance of the receiver. The first sergeant should be battalion commander source of the information provided with all the matters pertaining to the soldier of the maintenance realm with the responsible the commander sergeant may set with example all other soldiers by attending the scheduled meetings periods, ensuring that the units of the sergeants and the standard staff NCOs as well as the first line supervisors attend and participate in scheduled maintenance periods. Should the maintenance operation continue with the operator through the battalion motor sergeant with carrying out with correcting the applicable. Identifying the maintenance operation weakness, executing the corrective action with the NCO chain, knowing the unit's personal gain with the losses, strength, and weaknesses, advising the battalion commander accordingly. Battalion executive officer, the battalion executive officer, XO acts with the principal advisor of the battalion commander, the battalion executive officer supervise the details of the operation of the administrator, thereby enable the commander to develop the maximum time of the new or usual problem. The battalion executive officer keep the abreast of the logistical, tactical situation for each plan, consistently prepared to assume the command with the absence of the commander. The responsibility of the battalion executive officer in the maintenance field is supervising plan with reviewing the periodic special reports submitted to the higher headquarters, supervising the battalion logistics readiness off of the directing staff of the maintenance situation, evaluating the maintenance program, recommending change for the maintenance program. Your battalion commander, the commander can provide with the direction of the unit for the battalion, assign with the duty for the staff, of the officers, establish the necessary policies, and guidelines to enable the battalion to effectively accomplish the maintenance program. The battalion commander's specific responsibility with the maintenance program include renting a device and systems planning with the program unit maintenance program performed with the maintenance personnel and the battalion equipment, but exercise with the command supervision over the maintenance of activity throughout the battalion, advising the brigaders to have the high headquarters all aspects of the maintenance, prepare parts and supply requirements, repair parts for the supply support problems areas, recommended solution, anticipated requirements, directing maintenance of the repair parts, supply policies and guidelines with the maintenance, monitoring the Army, maintenance of the management system, TAMs, data accumulators, analysts, and transmission. Safety responsibility. Safety is command responsibility. Commanders at every level are responsible for conducting the continuous rigorous effort to prevent accidents for the operation activity. The commanders must ensure the adequate provision of the safety practice, the physical standards they incorporated in all directors' standard operations procedure and training doctrine. All supervisor personnel assist the commander with the unit accident prevention program with reducing the adherence to establish for the safety procedure. They orient new personnel teaches safe the practice of enforce rules, regulations, investigate accidents, prepare submit accident report, conduct safety inspection, and safety meeting of the required. No one in the better is qualified. No one is better qualified or more tragic position to discover the correct safety hazard than the supervisor within the activity. Deal directly with both the worker and the job. They are in the best position to improve the worker's skill, knowledge of the job, attitude toward the job. Additionally, they insist on a safe practice of the job, ensure that they are unsafe with the work conditions correctly, whether they fail in any, whether their responsibility can cause success for the insufficient correct results, supervision method of preventing accident through the continuous instruction, guidance, official persuasion, recourse for the enforcement. When necessary, supervision must be basic accident prevention control of the base on the principle of the safety standard that can be used in the training, developing the good work habits, provided individual competency that may be regardless of whether or not the supervisor in an area of the supervisor failed with the respect of constant observation and frequent enforcement becomes necessary. During the learning event, we discuss the maintenance responsibility of the squad leader to the battalion commander, however the interface with each of the year. Remember that however will develop the program maybe will fail and insufficient or be insufficient if the supervisors do not apply themselves. Alright, learning event 3, maintenance supervision. The maintenance management the way with the commander that brings it together with the people, the equipment, the tools, supply with the repaired parts, facilities, publication time with the promote the operation of the readiness of the supervisor, facility, function, supervisor, properly organize the 5 function planning, organization, coordinating, directing, and controlling. The supervisor usually deals with all of them at the same time. Feedback, they enable the supervisor to evaluate the situation and adjust the process to reach the desired goal. Let us look briefly at each of the supervisor functions. Planning show the way to reach for the goal of the objective of the supervisor, having a clear idea of what needs to be done, and once the objective is known, the supervisor outlines the step of the reach for the judgment and experience for the youth to develop a plan that will get up the job done on time with the required standard, with the least of the resource for the organized function, provide with the end list of the required resource for the schedule for the meeting plan, with the coordinated detail, coordinate with the ensure the resource for the available for the organization can support plan, the direct resource that have been organized, coordinate with the supervisor directs the plan in action. Application according to the plan. Control the supervisor control of the youth of the resource to ensure the work is scheduled and according to the desired situation. Standards of the chain command is usually assist with the function feedback with the reports, personal observation, ensure where the operation has been carried out. When the objective fuel and levels resource the change, the supervisor may need to modify the original plan and the cycle repeats until the job is done. Supervisor Techniques. Maintenance supervision of the depends on the difficulty of the job, with the influence of the demanding factor, with the usually high tendency for the urgency of the get resolved, with the conflicting demand with the supervisor time, with the supervisor develop the individual task to meet the challenge of the job. There are different approaches with the supervision following with the most common, the effective reactive management, the inspected and experienced supervisor react with the requirement of the curb with the confront with the challenge with it all the time. This called reactive to the crisis management. The theory is to concentrate with the resource, the agent with a particular requirement, overwhelm it, and move on it while the works as well with the true crisis and day with the maintenance of the operation, have with the self and the one crisis at the time. The unit measurement requirements for the training schedule and chain with the correct frequently important today with may not be but important tomorrow. The reactive manager that has to constantly juggle with the limit of the resources stay too long. Individual projects effective with the management overall operation. The project man with the strategy, proactive management, influence the events that may be happening. Protective management anticipate the requirements of plans best youth at the force time has the most important resource that has youth the game the most benefit organization has directed the effort of the personal productive planning of the time of the management of the most important part of the supervision and identify the objective of the priority of the proactive of the management and over the effective planning depends on determining what needs to be done, what sequence, and he directs the available resource the first toward those actions that will be the productive of the organization. Supervisor factors maintenance supervision individuals with the various command with the emphasis of the management supervision motivation skill with the resource forth effective the unit does and the maintenance mission with the supervisor achieve the factor of the tools that help him guide the effort in the proper direction. Fail to achieve the desired result often stems of the failure, and one or more of the maintenance factor of the corrective action depends on the supervisor's ability to recognize the factors needed to be influenced. Command emphasis of the commander with a set of the tone and what is and not important with the command to play for the command emphasis and maintenance of the operation. The commander must show the active insurance of the maintenance operation material readiness of the unit equipment. The command emphasis the most important supervisor factor of influence the maintenance, and the supervisor may use the support of the mission. The personal example, the words and areas must be mean to demonstrate with the areas emphasized with the management. Supervisor must contrive with to improve the operations of the management process to play for the key role of the maintenance operation. The supervisor should always be alert with the ways to improve the planning, organization, coordinating, directing, and controlling while obtaining the feedback of the results. Understand stress of the day-to-day operations of the elements of loss visibility with may seem to have a direct bearing on the material readiness. However, the small improvement in the system brings greater overall benefit than a heroic effort on one and two items. Supervision. The commander depends on the first line supervisor accomplishing the mission, ensuring the welfare of the soldier. The supervisor will link with the chain of command, receiving the instruction, turning the intangible result of the result, and passing along with the commander's requirements only the minor responsibility. Major challenge lies in making sure that people the supervisor can accomplish the mission. The supervisor individual soldier's primary source of the positions, further professional development, knowing the proper maintenance procedure, being particularly proficient with the task to be done with the soldier. The supervisor also needs to know the standards objectives set by the chain command, so the efforts of the soldiers are guided with the proper direction, being consistently aware of the mission, the requirements of the capability, the limits. The soldier supervisor must be on the piece of time of the day-to-day operation of the trained soldiers, support the needs of the battlefield. Next to the mission with the welfare of soldiers, their professional development should be most important. Alright, motivation. Motivation is the desire individual to perform a specific task. The leadership to demonstrate with the command, with the supervisor, with the greater influence, the motivation, with the soldier, and with the control. Strong leadership with the key of the motivation. The strong leader defines the objective, communicates them, evaluates what they will have achieved to provide the feedback of the people doing the work. Most soldiers would want to perform well, but they must know the rules of the game, the change expected of them, and how they do. They are doing the standard achievement that should be recognized. The supervisor should have an active interest in the unit award program. Skills and the technical ability to the task associated to the position training the means to provide the skills, individual skills. The soldiers achieve the commander most of the important aspect of the army training that depends on the unit commander to continue with the training program, begun with during the advanced individual training. Large number of the training sources that are available to the commander and with the supervisor should be either the maximum advantage soldier manuals, individual job books, skill qualification testing, and result of the personal observation provided with the first line supervisor means to evaluate and improve the skills of the soldiers. The resource of the tangible, intangible assets needed to get the job done. They should include the people, the tools, the test equipment, the repair parts of the publication facility, the time, the skill of the funds, and other types items. The maintenance supervisor goal should be the maintenance readiness if required to leave the least amount of the resources and expenditure. The supervisor determines the resources needed to support the specific convention requirements of the value of the commander with the logistics and compare with the various for the correction action. Learning event 4, standing operating procedure. Standing operating procedure provides the foundation for the unit maintenance program. The standing operating procedure is a standing order of the command with the officer with the carry with the same weight authority as on other lawful order of the commander. The failure to comply with the standard operating procedure subject to the individual's disciplinary action. The standard operation procedure to develop with the common repetitive situations. It frees the supervisor to work with non-routine projects and problem areas. The sound maintenance of the standard operation procedure is essential for the success of the tactical operation. Administrative logistics procedure for the standard operation procedure provides guidance for the inexperienced personnel with a copy of the standard operation procedure available. The ready reference of the new personnel should be briefed in the unit program, either to provide with a copy of the standard operation procedure to show them where they can get the standard operation living development. They should be tailored to the needs of the unit. The duties, responsibility, maintenance personnel need to be spelled out, but the soldiers need to know how they are expected to contribute to the overall program. The standard operation procedure printed with the most effective, convenient form. When the better way of the found to do the operation, the chain include the standard operation procedure chain with the maintenance of the program should be posted in the unit with the standard operation procedure. If impractical to post the change with all copy with the one or more two complete read recorded copies should be maintained with one pen or ink change with the interfering clarity with the continuity with the new print is needed. The commander must ensure the change of the standard operation procedure are coordinated with everyone to understand the new procedure. Consideration for a standard authorization procedure. Standard authorization procedure must be provide a functional operation, organizational maintenance to recognize the need of the maintenance, accomplishment, quality, and workmanship and tool control. Command policy should be brief in the statements of what will be done. 3. The appendices should be used with the detail of the organization procedure. 4. The terms are not common and should be defined. 5. The workflow, inspection, verification services should be continuous. 6. Scholarly treatment and staff jargon. Directive readily available with the Army regulation, technical manuals, other publications should be avoided. Standard authorization format. Standard authorization procedure format. That's SOP generally with the standard format, include with the heading with the body with the code with the authentication heading. The heading identified with the unit with the prepared standard authorization procedure, location, mailing address, give it the date of the issue, provide with the file of the standard authorization procedure number for the reference, give it the SOP title with the body with the information with the body with the standard authorization procedure, tailored with the need for the preparing unit, the closing, the authentication, the code with the standard authorization procedure contained with the signature of the commander, list of annexes, the standard authorization procedure distribution when the standard authorization procedure annex for the higher level of the document, the code contained with the signature authentication, the officer of the responsible staff element. In this case, the signature commander is not required. Refer to the extract with the field manual 292, appendix B, sample battalion maintenance standing operation procedures. Lesson 2, fundamental maintenance operations.